In the Wilmington School Committee race, there are two candidates vying for one open seat for 1 year. Those candidates are Kenneth McCue and Suzanne Rooney. There's one ballot question in this year's town election. Should the town of Wilmington appropriate 3 members of the Wilmington School Committee, 1 member of the Wilmington Housing Authority, 1 town moderator, 1 member of the Wilmington Redevelopment Authority, and 1 member of the Shawshene Technical School Committee? So join WCTV as we bring you the only source of live coverage of the 1997 Wilmington town election. We will bring you early results as soon as they come off the voting machines, election analysis, and interviews with the candidates pursuing town office. And now, the 1997 Wilmington town election, live from Room 9 at Wilmington's Town Hall.
Good evening and welcome to Decision 1997, the 1997 Wilmington Town Election results being brought to you live from Room 9 at the Wilmington Town Hall. My name is Bob Peterson and I'll be your host for this evening. I'll also inform you at this time that our polls are now closed for the 1997 municipal elections here in Wilmington. What we have tonight is a hotly contested race for a 3-year seat on the Board of Selectmen between 20-year incumbent Bob Cain, challenger and former Selectman Jerry Duggen, and political newcomer Mark Nelson. We also have a contested seat on the school committee between Ken McCue and Suzanne Rooney. We have an uncontested school committee race with 2 openings between Suzanne Clarkin and Thomas W. Syracusa, both of whom will be elected this evening. An uncontested seat for a 1-year term for town moderator. Jim Stewart is the only candidate. Jim's also here with us this evening to discuss the upcoming town elections, and Jim will also be re-elected as he is unopposed. We have an unopposed seat on the Wilmington Housing Authority. Lillian Hupper is the only candidate for that seat. She will be elected this evening, as will A. Mark Zeinen, first-time candidate for the Wilmington Redevelopment Authority, and Jim Gillis, incumbent school committeeman from Shawshene Tech, who will be re-elected as he is unopposed. We also have on the ballot tonight a very important question for the future of Wilmington. As everybody in the town knows, question 1 will authorize a debt exclusion if it passes, for the construction of a new public safety building and intermediate school for the town of Wilmington. Question 1 is a 2-part process. If question 1 passes this evening, it will be subject to a voice vote at the town meeting next week, which Jim will get into momentarily. The voter turnout today, and I believe we have a graphic for that. Our first poll, shortly after the polls opened, showed 779 voters. At 12 o'clock noontime, 1,416 people had voted. At 2 o'clock, 2,426 had voted. At 4 o'clock, 3,157 had voted. At 6 o'clock, 3,708 had voted. And at 7 o'clock, which was our last poll, 3,942 people had voted. With us this evening is Town Moderator Jim Stewart, who is unopposed for re-election, to explain the general procedure for announcing the unofficial election results, and also to give us a quick reminder for the annual town meeting. Jim?
Evening, Bob.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Yes.
Nice to have you back with us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Jim, could you give the folks a brief explanation of how you're going to do the election results once we start getting the tabulated votes in this room?
Sure. I will be reading the unofficial results, which are the sheets that come off the actual voting machines. I'll start with precincts 5 and 6, which voted here at the town hall, and we have people, representatives of WCTV, which will be picking up the sheets for precincts 1 and 2 at the West Intermediate and precincts 3 and 4 at the Wildwood. I'll be reading them live from Room 9, and I remind you they are unofficial results and do not include the 273 absentee ballots which were submitted to the town clerk's office over the past few weeks. I'll read them by race, which will start with the selectmen candidates. I'll read each name and the number of votes that each candidate got by machine. WCTV will calculate the votes, and we will be bringing you updates periodically as we finish the precincts. I remind you those are unofficial results, and Kay Scanlon will be with us later to read the official results and do the official swearing-in ceremonies for the candidates who are elected this evening.
Jim, as we all know, the annual town meeting is next Saturday, and perhaps you could give the folks a rundown of what they might expect next week, what type of articles we have, and how long they may be there.
Sure. We start next Saturday at 10:30 at the high school gymnasium located on Church Street. This year there's 44 total articles. Some of the highlights of the articles this year, we have a approximately $40 million budget which we'll be voting, which includes both the municipal and the school departments. Replacement of number of vehicles, police cars, Department of Public Works vehicles as well. Repair of the high school track, which was constructed a number of years ago. Some roof repairs to the Woburn Street School, some funds to re-look at the critical elements of the master plan, which was adopted a number of years ago, a number of street acceptances for subdivisions which have been completed in the past year. Obviously, Articles 16 and 17 involve the vote, which question 1, which you voted on today. If voted favorably or unfavorably, actually, there could be a vote either way next week. So Articles 16 and 17, which both will require a 2/3 vote next week because they are bonding issues, I'm sure will be very, very lengthy and interesting articles on the warrant. Also, there's a Lowell Street Connector project on Article 18. There's 3 other water and sewer articles. Lowell Regional Transit Authority is trying to bring bus service to the town of Wilmington, and there's an article involving that. There is a Lake and Ponds Grants program that the town is trying to get some money for. A zoning article on utility poles, a zoning article on cellular towers to allow cellular phone stations in the town of Wilmington, and also a number of land sale articles. We'll go more into depth later on after we get the results of the election, I'm sure.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you very much. Now, once again, the polls are now closed here in Wilmington. Polls closed at 8 p.m. Once again, we have a contested race for selectmen between 20-year incumbent Bob Cain, challenger and former selectman Jerry Duggen, and relatively new to politics in Wilmington, the third candidate for selectman is Mark Nelson. As we receive the votes from each precinct, we'll deliver them to you as unofficial results. We also have a school committee race with 2 openings and 2 candidates. Suzanne Clarkin, who's currently on the school committee, will be reelected as she is unopposed. And Thomas W. Syracusa will also be elected this evening as one of the newest members of Wilmington's school committee. The second school committee race has 1 vacancy and 2 candidates. Kenneth M. McCue making his first run for political office here in Wilmington against Suzanne Rooney, 47 Towpath Drive, who's been a candidate for elective office in the past. The moderator, Mr. Stewart, who we just spoke to, is unopposed for re-election, as is Lillian Hupper for a seat in the Wilmington Housing Authority, and A. Mark Zeinen is unopposed for a seat on the Redevelopment Authority. The last candidate, who is also unopposed, who will be elected this evening, is James M. Gillis, who is an incumbent school committeeman at Shawshene Voc. I believe we have our first guest with us this evening, Suzanne Rooney, candidate for school committee. Mrs. Rooney, good evening.
Hi, Bob.
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Polls are now closed. It's been a long, cold, windy day. How do you feel?
Nervous, but good, good.
Can you tell us what prompted you to run for school committee and what issues you would see ahead of you if you were elected to the school committee?
The overcrowding was one issue. Also having a daughter being a senior in high school, I'd like to see a little more input into the high school. And not having any children in the school system as of June 1st gives me the time to put into it, and I really want to do that.
Yeah. Did you enjoy your run for elective office?
Yeah, I did.
As a veteran of a few campaigns myself, it can often be a long grind.
Yeah.
When did you start campaigning?
In February. Took my papers out in February.
Were you out in the beating the pavement all day today?
All day, except for 1 hour. It was a tough day. It was cold.
I think we actually lucked out. As cold and windy as it was, at least the heavy rain held off till 7 o'clock.
Yep.
Well, Susie, good luck, and we
you
hope to
very
talk
much.
to you later on this evening.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. Once again, we're back at Room 9, live from the Wilmington Town Hall with the 1997 Town of Wilmington election results. Our polls are now closed, and we're waiting for the unofficial election results to be brought into the polling room. They'll be read to you as they're brought into the room. The first 2 precincts we will report is precincts 5 and 6. They'll be reported by our town moderator, and as I speak, he's coming into the room with precincts 5 and 6. Once again, the poll results you are being read by the town moderator, Jim Stewart, are our unofficial election results. The official election results will be read by our town clerk, Kay Scanlon, after the polls have closed and the absentee ballots have been tabulated. At this point, I think we're ready to move forward with our unofficial election results for precincts 5 and 6. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jim Stewart. Jim, thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you, Bob. I have with me precincts 5 and 6, which are the precincts voted at Town Hall. And I will start with precinct 5, which we have 4 machines. And I remind you again, these are unofficial and do not include the 273 absentee ballots which were submitted to Kay Scanlon. So I will read the race, Selectmen, and then the 3 candidates by last name. So for example, I read Selectmen, Cain, his number, Duggen, his number, Nelson, his number, and move on to the next race. And the last question is the debt exclusion question, question 1. And I'll read that as the last 2 numbers that you'll hear on each machine. So we're ready to start. First machine, Selectmen, Cain, 78, Duggen, 56, Nelson, 30. School Committee, Clarkin, 92, Siracusa, 71. School Committee, McCue, 73, Rooney, 78. Moderator, Stewart, 124. Housing Authority, Hupper, 109. Redevelopment Authority, Zeinen, 105. Shawshene Tech Gillis, 104. The question, yes, 75, no, 89. Second machine, precinct 5, Selectman Cain, 79, Duggen, 44, Nelson, 35. School Committee, Clarkin, 99, Siracusa, 70. School Committee, McCue, 76, Rooney, 61. Moderator, Stewart, 121. Housing Authority, Hupper, 111. Redevelopment Authority, Zeinen, 103. Shawshene Tech Gillis, 106. The question, yes, 79, no, 72. Third machine, precinct 5, Selectmen, Cain, 46, Duggen, 44, Nelson, 16. School Committee, Clarkin, 62, Siracusa, 48. School Committee, McCue, 35, Rooney, 64. Moderator, Stewart, 78. Housing Authority, Hupper, 70. Redevelopment Authority, Zeinen, 69. And Shawshene Tech Gillis, 74. The question, yes, 58, no, 42. Selectmen, last machine, precinct 5. Selectman Cain, 69, Duggen, 45, Nelson, 22. School Committee, Clarkin, 78, Siracusa, 66. School Committee 1 year, McCue, 57, Rooney, 73. Moderator, Stewart, 100. Housing Authority, Hupper, 89. Redevelopment Authority, Zeinen, 85. Shawshene Tech, Gillis, 90. The question, yes, 67. Yes, 67, no, 60. That concludes the unofficial reading of Precinct 5. I'll now proceed with Precinct 6. Precinct 6, first machine. Total votes cast were 162. Selectmen, Cain, 76, Duggen, 41, Nelson, 41. School Committee, Clarkin, 89, Siracusa, 81. School Committee, McCue, 72, Rooney, 73. Moderator, Stewart, 121. Housing Authority, Hupper, 108. Redevelopment Authority, Zeinen, 101. Shawshene Tech, Gillis, 107. The question, 1, yes, 70, no, 78. Second machine, Precinct 6. Total votes 180. Selectmen Cain 80, Duggen 49, Nelson 47. School Committee Clarkin 104, Syracuse 87. School Committee McCue 86, Rooney 78, Moderator Stewart 139, Housing Authority Hupper 124, Redevelopment Authority Zinon 116, Shawshene Tech Gillis 123. Question 1, yes 86, no 87. Third machine, Precinct 6. A total of 161 votes cast in this machine. Selectmen, Cain 68, Duggen 58, Nelson 32. School Committee, Clarkin 88, Syracuse 69. School Committee 1 year, McCue 60, Rooney 85. Moderator Stewart 121, Housing Authority Hupper 108, Redevelopment Authority Zinon 99, Shawshene Tech Gillis 109. The question, 1, yes 69, no 83. Last machine, Precinct 6. At the conclusion of this, hopefully we'll have some graphics showing you the totals of these two precincts. Last machine, total votes 165 cast. Selectmen, Cain 74, Duggen 49, Nelson 36. School Committee, Clarkin 96, Syracuse 79. School Committee 1 year, McCue 73, Rooney 74. Moderator Stewart 131, Housing Authority Hupper 111, Redevelopment Authority Zinon 106, Shawshene Tech Gillis 111. The question, yes 81, no 76. That concludes the first two precincts, precincts 5 and 6, which voted at the town hall. We will have graphics of the unofficial results of those two precincts in just a moment, and hopefully we'll have the other sheets from the other 4 precincts in just a moment. Bob, back to you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much for your help. Precincts 5 and 6 having reported, it appears as though question 1 is too close to call. Bob Cain would appear to be ahead of Jerry Duggen in the contested selectmen's race, with Mark Nelson appearing to be a relatively close third. Suzanne Rooney would appear to be ahead of Ken McCue in the contested school committee race. And once again, one of the big issues of the evening, question 1, very tight race. Too close to call, and that question will be debated if it passes, not only this evening, but next Saturday at the annual town meeting. Again, if you missed our opening, it's now about 8:22. Our polls are closed. We have a contested race this evening for selectmen between 20-year incumbent Bob Cain, Jerry Duggen, and political newcomer Mark Nelson. An uncontested school committee race with 2 seats. And we will have 2 new school committee members, 3 new, 2 new from this race, Suzanne Clarkin and Tom Syracuse. And the third school committee seat to be filled this evening is a contested race between Ken McCue and Suzanne Rooney. A relatively close race, but it appears as though Suzanne is in the lead. We do have our first unofficial tabulations for precincts 5 and 6, and we'll put them up on the board for you now. Question 1, very close. After 2 precincts reporting, we've got 585 votes in favor of question 1 and 587 against it. A virtual dead heat. In the selectmen's race with precincts 5 and 6 reported, we got Bob Cain with 570 votes, a relatively comfortable margin over Jerry Duggen, who's reporting in with 386. Cain presently has 47% of the votes cast. Duggan at 386 with 32% of the votes cast. Mark Nelson, the other candidate, is currently third with 259 with 21% of the votes. In the school committee race, if we have any unofficial, we don't have it. When we do have them, we'll bring them to you. We do have a guest coming up with us in a few minutes. Until then, I'll remind you that I'm Bob Peterson, and I'm here with you live at the Town Hall, Room 9, bringing you Election 97, the municipal election results this year in the town of Wilmington. Our next guest will be Selectman candidate and 20-year incumbent Bob Cain. And Bob, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you. After the first precincts reported, precincts 5 and 6, shows you with a 47% to 32% lead over Jerry Duggan. Your comments?
Is it a good time to take a deep breath?
As good a time as any, Bobby.
I will take a deep breath. It's appreciate the vote that I got, but I certainly understand there's a lot of precincts out there and a lot of votes to be counted. So we're not considering this a win at this time, and we hope that obviously that the votes come in the way we would like to have them.
Yeah. Your comments on question 1 in a virtual dead heat after 2 precincts?
But I'm actually not surprised that it's that close. In fact, I thought that maybe I had a chance to win, and I think that it very likely could. I think it's an issue that needs to probably be discussed. If it doesn't pass, I think if we can get some more information out and just what the cost is to the taxpayer, they might vote it at a second time and support it.
Yeah. Your comments on today's weather. It was obviously windy and cold and rainy at times, but notwithstanding that, we had a relatively fair turnout today. Do you feel it could have been better, or do you feel the weather helped the turnout?
I think that, I don't know if the weather had much to do with it. I think people had made up their mind that they were going to come out and vote, and there's been a steady stream of people throughout the day going to the polls. And with the new polling place open, I think people found it easier to vote, and they were in and out of the polling places very quickly.
Yeah. Now, you didn't find a line really at any of the polling places?
Not at all. In fact, when people came, they were surprised, and they said, isn't anybody voting? But I thought the vote was going very smooth and well run by the election clerks, and people were going in and out very quickly.
Bobby, thank you, and we hope to talk to you later on this evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We do have unofficial school committee results from precincts 5 and 6, and we're bringing them to you now. With 2 precincts reporting, precincts 5 and 6. Suzanne Rooney is reporting in with 586 votes, or 52% of the vote, and Ken McCue is reporting in with 531 votes, or 48% of the vote. Again, as with question 1, the contested school committee race is very, very close, and obviously much too close to call, with only 1/3 of the precincts reporting. Again, our results are unofficial. We do not wish to project any winners at this point. We will wait until the town clerk tabulates the votes before we make any official results, and that will be later on this evening, probably in about 1 hour. Again, our last poll showed 3,942 people having voted. The last time we tallied in was at 7 o'clock, and when we get the final number, we will bring it to you. Okay. Mr. Stewart also informed me that precincts 3 and 4, which will be our middle precincts from the Wildwood School, are on their way here. As soon as we get them here, we will bring them to you, and 1 and 2 will follow behind shortly thereafter. 1 and 2 were the precincts that voted today at the West Intermediate School. Today was the first time that the town actually voted in 3 different polling spots. Precincts 1 and 2 voted at the West Intermediate School, precincts 3 and 4 at the Wildwood School, and precincts 5 and 6 here at the town hall. And it appeared that everything was relatively smooth. Although the weather was bad, the turnout was moderate, and there were virtually no lines. You could be in and out of the voting booth within a matter of seconds. Our next guest this evening is Jerry Duggen, candidate for Selectman in the contested seat for Selectman, and a former Selectman here in Wilmington himself. Jerry, good evening, and thank you for joining us. With the two precincts out of the 6 having reported, show Mr. Cain leading. Your comments?
Well, they're Mr. Cain's home precincts, precinct 5, which he lives in anyway, and 6 is next to that one. I thought I did pretty good up in there with contacts and things like that, but it's kind of tough to overcome a local as opposed to someone from outside the district, but we did a lot, so.
You feel the results in your home precincts, which will be the precincts from the West Intermediate, will yield a different result?
Well, my home precincts are at the Wildwood, which is precinct 3, and I think we'll see quite a different change in the figures at that time.
You comment on question 1, which currently is a 2-vote differential between the yeses and the nos on question 1. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I hope it passes. I hope that the people in my precinct support it as well as I did, and that we can overcome that, and hopefully we will.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. We hope to talk to you later on this evening.
Thanks, Bob.
My producer tells me we do have unofficial election results to bring you. Again, this is precincts 5 and 6 only if you're watching at home. We do have our unofficial results, which were tallied by town moderator Jim Stewart from the machine, and we'll try to bring them up on the board. Question 1, which would allow a debt exclusion for the construction of a new intermediate school and a new public safety building here in Wilmington. 2 precincts reporting, 585 voters voting in the affirmative and 587 voting in the negative. That question, folks, is a virtual dead heat after 2 precincts being reported. In the selectmen's race between Mr. Cain, Mr. Duggen, and Mr. Nelson, 2 precincts reporting, 5 and 6. Mr. Cain's home precinct, 47% of the vote to Mr. Cain, or 570 votes. Mr. Duggan is in second place with 32% of the vote, or 386 votes. And Mr. Nelson is third, and a not too distant third, with 21% of the vote, or 259 votes. We're also hoping to bring you the contested school committee race after 2 precincts. Suzanne Rooney with 586 votes, or 52% of the popular vote, and Ken McCue, political newcomer, with 531 votes, or 48% of the votes. So that race is also very, very tight and too close to call after 2 precincts being reported. If you're watching from home, my name is Bob Peterson, and we're coming to you live with Election 97, Wilmington's municipal election results from the town hall in Wilmington. It's now 8:30. The polls have been closed for a half hour. We've had 2 precincts out of 6 reporting, and we're awaiting the results from precincts 1 and 2 and precincts 3 and 4. And those results, folks, are on their way, and we hope to have them to you very shortly. Our next guest this evening is Suzanne Clarkin, one of the, if not the biggest proponent of question 1. Suzanne, step forward and welcome.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Thank you for joining us this evening. As you heard me ask Mr. Duggan and Mr. Cain, after 2 precincts reporting, precincts 5 and 6, question 1 has 587 votes in the negative, 585 votes in the affirmative, a virtual dead heat. Your feelings and your hopes for the remaining 4 precincts?
Well, obviously, I'm hoping for a positive vote. I think we knew that it was going to be very close. And if you don't mind, I'm going to diverge for just a second because I feel like I'm getting the Academy Award here. No?
Go right ahead.
As many of you know, we had a very special group of people this year that came together, approximately 75 very devoted, concerned citizens that formed a group called Wilmington Taxpayers for Space Solutions. And I'd like to say to them tonight, whatever the vote may be, if you'll recall when we first started out, that not anybody gave much of this question a chance. And we have certainly brought it to this point. And there's a couple very special people that I'd like to point out, which were the coordinators of the group. Judson Miller, of course, who handled our publicity. Mark Sullivan, who's certainly been a stabilizing influence on our group, despite the fact that he's only lived here 2 years. He really poured his heart and soul into this particular campaign. Linda Golden, who took over as treasurer. Denise Farnsworth, who handled all of our leaflets. Michelle Kincaid, who handled our fundraising, and of course Jim Savage, who took on the awesome task of being chairpersons. I'd like to say to all of them, and especially to my husband Ken, who's put up with me being away many nights over the last couple months, that whatever happens tonight, hold your head high. I really think that our group is the future of Wilmington. And we're not going to go away with this vote. And we're going to keep bringing this up until the problem's solved. And I promise you, I'll be one of those people that keeps after this. Thank you. I'm proud of all of you.
Thank you, Suzanne. We hope to talk to Suzanne later on this evening, no matter what the vote is on question 1. That group has done a lot of work over the past 6 months, and I believe they're to be commended, and we hope to talk to various individuals from that group later on this evening. I understand we do have further unofficial election results, and Jim Stewart, will go back to you.
Thanks, Bob. I have the unofficial results, the voting sheets from precincts 3 and 4, which come from the Wildwood Street School. So with no further ado, the first machine, which is total of 180 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain, 66, Duggen, 81, Nelson, 27. School Committee, Clarkin, 96, Syracuse, 77. School Committee, McCue, 59, Rooney, 103. Moderator Stewart, 124. Housing Authority, Hupper, 115. Redevelopment Authority, Zinon, 102. Shawshene Tech, Gillis, 116. The question, yes, 85, no, 84. Second machine, 182 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain, 79, Duggen, 71, Nelson, 28. School Committee, Clarkin, 100, Siracusa, 88. School Committee, McCue, 77, Rooney, 91. Moderator Stewart, 133. Housing Authority, Hupper, 121. Redevelopment Authority, Zinan, 114. And Shawshene Tech, Gillis, 124. The question, 1, yes, 85, no, 84. A virtual tie, if I'm not mistaken. Third machine, 180 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain, 70, Duggan, 78, Nelson, 25. School Committee, Clarkin, 105, Siracusa, 81. School Committee, McCue, 60, Rooney, 100. Moderator Stewart, 136. Housing Authority, Hupper, 113. Zinan Redevelopment Authority, 111. Shawshene Tech, Gillis, 122. The question, yes, 89, no, 81. Last machine, Precinct 3, 176 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain, 60, Duggan, 80, Nelson, 30. School Committee, Clarkin, 112, Siracusa, 84. School Committee, McCue, 53, Rooney, 115. Moderator Stewart, 132. Housing Authority, Hupper, 130. Redevelopment Authority, Zinan, 117. Shawshene Tech, Gillis, 125. The question, yes, 81, no, 82. We're on precinct number 4, and the other 2 precincts have arrived, so Mr. Peterson, I'll just keep reading as we get these, if that's all right. WCTV keeping up with me, are they all right? Okay. We're in precinct number 4, first machine, 171 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain, 65, Duggan, 65, Nelson, 33. School Committee, Clarkin, 92, Siracusa, 79. School Committee, McCue, 91, Rooney, 63. Moderator Stewart, 126. Housing Authority, Hupper, 117. Redevelopment Authority, Zinan, 108. Shawshene Tech, Gillis, 115. The question, yes, 81, no, 87. Second machine, 175 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain, 59. Duggan, 66. Nelson, 45. Did I get those right? Let me read those again. Cain, 59, Duggan, 66, Nelson, 45. School Committee, Clarkin, 99, Siracusa, 79. School Committee, McCue, 85, Rooney, 67. Moderator, Stewart, 130. Housing Authority, Hupper, 113. Redevelopment Authority, Zinan, 108. Shawshene Tech, Gillis, 114. The question, yes, 79, no, 87. There's 2 more machines in Precinct 4. This one, 181 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain, 58, Duggan, 71, Nelson, 44. School Committee, Clarkin, 84, Siracusa, 65. School Committee, McCue, 89, Rooney, 69. Moderator Stewart, 121. Housing Authority, Hupper, 107. Redevelopment Authority, Zinan, 98. Shawshene Tech, Gillis, 113. The question, yes, 80, no, 90. Final machine, Precinct 4, 180 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain, 64, Duggan, 65, Nelson, 46. School Committee, Clarkin, 99, Siracusa, 75. School Committee, McCue, 89, Rooney, 69. Moderator Stewart, 127. Housing Authority, Hupper, 107. Redevelopment Authority, Zinan, 103. Shawshene Tech, Gillis, 118. The question, yes, 65, no, 105. That concludes Precinct 4, and I am being handed the final 2 precincts, which I assume are Precincts 1 and 2. And at first glance, keep your calculators out. Precinct 1, first machine, 143 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain 48, Duggen 52, Nelson 39. School Committee, Clarkin 99, Siracusa 58. School Committee, McCue 63, Rooney 61. Moderator Stewart 105, Housing Authority Hubbard 95, Redevelopment Authority Zion 94, Shawshene Tech Gillis 99. The question, yes 75, no 60. Selectmen, second machine, 160 votes cast. Selectman Cain 50, Duggan 73, Nelson 33, 33. School Committee, Clarkin 117, Siracusa 70. School Committee, McCue 66, Rooney 81. Moderator Stewart 122, Hupper Housing Authority 108, Redevelopment Authority Zion 100, Shawshene Tech Gillis 121. The question, yes 84, no 69. Third machine, Precinct 1, 156 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain 66, Duggan 57, Nelson 33. School Committee, sure, this machine, 156 total votes cast. Selectman Cain 66, Duggan 57, Nelson 33. School Committee, Clarkin 101, Siracusa 54. School Committee, McCue 68, Rooney 74. Moderator Stewart 104, Housing Authority Hubbard 97, Redevelopment Authority Zion 89, Shawshene Tech Gillis 101. The question, yes 87, no 60. Two machines left in Precinct 1. 109 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain 35, Duggan 35, Nelson 36. School Committee, Clarkin 67, Siracusa 47. School Committee, McCue 53, Rooney 47. Moderator Stewart 76, Housing Authority Hupper 70, Redevelopment Authority Zion 68, Shawshene Tech Gillis 69. The question, yes 53, no 54. We're within a vote or two on the question, if I'm not mistaken. One vote. The final machine of Precinct 1, 101 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain 38, Duggan 37, Nelson 60. School Committee, Clarkin 64, Siracusa 32. School Committee, McCue 54, Rooney 33. Moderator Stewart 70, Housing Authority Hupper 65, Redevelopment Authority Zion 62, Shawshene Tech Gillis 66. The question, yes 58, no 41. The final precinct, we have 4 machines. WCTV all set? Yes. You guys all set? First machine, 233 votes, big machine. Selectmen, Cain 73, Duggan 102, Nelson 51. School Committee, Clarkin 143, Siracusa 103. School Committee, McCue 101, Rooney 104, Moderator Stewart 176, Housing Authority Hupper 155, Redevelopment Authority Zion 149, Shawshene Tech Gillis 155. The question, yes 123, no 93. Second machine, another big machine, 212 votes. Selectmen, Cain 72, Duggan 99, Nelson 33. School Committee, Clarkin 125, Siracusa 106. School Committee, McCue 94, Rooney 87. Moderator Stewart 158, Housing Authority Hupper 142, Redevelopment Authority Zion 130, Shawshene Tech Gillis 137. The question, yes 110, no 91. 2 machines left. And I think we have a couple of very close races. 3. This machine, 160 votes. Selectmen, Cain 54, Duggen 63, Nelson 39. School Committee, Clarkin 97, Siracusa 62. School Committee, McCue 72, Rooney 65. Moderator Stewart 111, Housing Authority Hubbard 95, Redevelopment Authority Zion 90, Shawshene Tech Gillis 98. The question, yes 83, no 68. The final machine of the unofficial results, and these again do not include the 273 absentee ballots. 147 votes cast. Selectmen, Cain 52, Duggan 67, Nelson 24. School Committee, Clarkin 81, Siracusa 64. School Committee, McCue 62, Rooney 65. Moderator Stewart 110, Housing Authority Hubbard 91, Redevelopment Authority Zion 86, Shawshene Tech Gillis 103. The question, yes 75, no 63. That concludes, Mr. Peterson, our unofficial results from the voting machines at all 6 precincts. I remind everyone that these are unofficial results, and they do not include at least 273 absentee ballots. So we will await the official announcement of the question and the candidates who were successful in this evening's election from Town Clerk Kay Scanlon. But I do believe momentarily we'll have some unofficial graphics from WCTV.
Thank you, Jim. It appears as though we have, in the 3 races which are unofficial and undecided, 3 very, very, very close races.
Yes, both the one-year school committee race, the selectmen's race, and the question, although it appeared as though the last 2 precincts seemed to push the question to the favorable side. So the last precinct in particular leaned heavily towards yes on question 1.
In the selectmen's race, it appeared as though Bob Cain built up a very big lead in precincts 5 and 6. Probably was not victorious in 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the question's going to remain whether Mr. Duggan's vote count in those 4 precincts plus the absentee ballots can overcome a relatively substantial early lead from Bob Cain.
And as well in the one-year school committee race, that seemed to flip-flop back and forth by machine. There wasn't any consistent lead anywhere in, there wasn't a pattern of voting there anywhere that I could see.
And it's obvious from the votes that the voters, there was obviously a lot of diversity in the votes, although question 1 seems to have passed. Only 1 selectmen's candidate did not support question 1, and he finished 3rd, and that's what we were discussing earlier, whether the voters would vote for 1 or whether there'd be a diversity in voters, whether they'd vote for the question and the candidates. But it appears to be a relatively large split on that.
And it appears once again the voters were able to take the question and the elections of the candidates as separate issues and vote the candidates that they felt were best for the town, as well as looking at the question as a separate issue. And once again, a credit to the voters of the town of Wilmington.
Thank you, Jim. We look forward to talking later on in the evening.
Thank you, Bob. Again,
we have some unofficial results on question 1 in the selectmen. I believe we're going to take question 1 first, if we could, from my unofficial talliers. Question 1, with all precincts reporting, and again, this is unofficial, yes, 1,978 in favor, or 51%, and on the no votes, 1,886, or 49%. In the selectmen's race, against it's unofficial, Bob Cain and Jerry Duggen in a virtual dead heat. Mr. Cain with 1,579 votes, or 39% of the vote. Jerry Duggen, 1,548 votes, a very, very, very slim margin there. And Mark Nelson with 885, or 22% of the vote. And it appears as though the selectmen's race, folks, will be decided by the 273 absentee ballots that have yet to be counted. It's now almost 10 minutes to 9. Our polls have been closed for 50 minutes. We're awaiting the unofficial results on the contested school committee race. We've given you the unofficial results on question 1 in the selectmen's race. Question 1 appears to have been victorious by a very, very slim margin. The selectmen's race between Bob Cain and Jerry Duggen is a dead heat. Mr. Cain built up a approximately 265 vote lead in precincts 5 and 6. Appears to have lost precincts 1, 2, 3, and 4. But it doesn't appear as though Mr. Duggan's margin of victory in those 4 precincts was enough to overcome Mr. Duggan's early lead, and yet we haven't had 273 absentee votes counted, so it would appear as though the candidate who worked to get out the absentee ballots may well become victorious in this race. Chris? We do have the unofficial results on the school committee race, the contested school committee race, and we'll bring them to you now if we could. As soon as my producers finish their tabulations, we will bring you those results. I assure you we're finishing them up right now. Here they are. With all 6 precincts reporting the unofficial results on the contested school committee race, Suzanne Rooney with 1,880 votes, or 52% of the vote, and political newcomer Ken McCue with 1,757, or 48% of the vote. So, folks, every race we have here this evening that's contested is too close to call, with 273 absentee ballots yet to be counted. So please stay with us. When the town clerk has tallied the absentee ballots, we'll be back with you live from room 9 at the Wilmington Town Hall. Once again, the polls are closed. Our election results are in. It appears as though question 1 has been victorious by a very slim margin. The Selectmen's race between Jerry Duggen and Bob Cain is too close to call. The school committee race between Suzanne Rooney and Ken McCue is too close to call. Our unofficial results have Mr. Cain with about a 45-vote lead over Mr. Duggen, with 273 absentee ballots uncounted. We do have some footage today of the voters taken on a cold, raw, and windy day. Once again, I'd like to thank the folks from WCTV for their hard work, Chris Cassidy in particular. And now we're going to go to our footage, which was taken live, which was shot live at the polls earlier today. Thank you, and please stay with us. We're live from the Town Hall, and this is Election 97. Good evening. We're back live. This is Election 97 from the Wilmington Town Hall. My name is Bob Peterson, and I'm your host for the evening. With me currently is Jim Savage, who speared the drive on question 1 in support of question 1. And Jim, after a relatively rocky start with precincts 5 and 6, question 1, barring a miracle on the absentee ballots, appears to have persevered. Your comments and your feelings?
Well, right now I'm elated. I'm elated for a lot of reasons. It's really gratifying to see the efforts of a lot of people that worked very, very hard and gave up a lot of their personal time doing everything from phone calls to leafleting to polling, being at polling places, and really sticking with it. And I think we turned what many people thought at the beginning was a rather difficult situation into, I think, what I hope tonight will be a very positive situation. We're still waiting for the absentee ballots, but we're very hopeful at this point.
A couple of comments, and many of you are aware, many of you may not be aware that although question 1 appeared as a single question on this week's ballot for the intermediate school in the public safety building, next Saturday at the annual town meeting, I believe they appear as Articles 16 and 17.
That's right.
As separate ballots.
That's right.
And each separate question will require a 2/3
That's right.
Vote for passage. And your plans, obviously, barring a miracle, question 1 is passed this evening. Your plans for the next 7 days leading up to the town meeting are?
Right. Well, I think you're right. We've passed the first hurdle tonight. It's a big hurdle, but it's just the first hurdle. We now have a major challenge ahead of us to get the folks that supported us tonight to the polls. And you're right, Bobby, it requires a 2/3 majority. So if we want to capitalize this and make this a reality, we need people at the polls. We need our supporters at the polls. Over the next week, we're going to be getting out the vote. We're going to be calling people. We're going to be knocking on doors. We have activities planned for those folks who want to bring their kids, who have to bring their kids to town meeting. We welcome you. We want you there. We'll have babysitting there. The kids will have fun. Please, we need you, and let's make this victory a finality.
Who knows? Maybe the parents will have fun.
We hope so. We hope so.
Jim, my congratulations for all your hard work.
Thank
and
you.
We hope to talk to you later on in the year.
Thank you.
Almost lost your host. That was Jim Savage, who's chairman of the Taxpayers for Space Solutions, who were the major movers behind question 1, which after a rocky start in precincts 5 and 6, barring a miracle on the absentee ballots, appears to have been a victorious question and will appear at next Saturday's town meeting as articles separately as Articles 17 and 18 for a new intermediate school here in Wilmington, as well as a public safety building. Mr. Savage, correct me, there's 16 and 17 for those of you following at home in your program. With me, as he has been all evening, is Jim Stewart, town moderator. And Jim, I know that you did give us a brief overview of the town meeting next week. Perhaps you could get into a little detail on how questions, Articles 16 and 17, will work next week, since question 1 appears to have been victorious.
Sure. As you mentioned, Bob, Articles 16 and 17 are separate on next week's town meeting warrant. The reason for that is that they do require separate appropriations, and the purpose of next week's town meeting is to actually appropriate the money that the town voters have apparently okayed the town to exempt from the limits of Proposition 2.5 as a debt exclusion to the town of Wilmington's levy limit. Next week, they are Articles 16 and 17. You mentioned they do require a 2/3 vote. At this point, I have a meeting Tuesday with town council, and we're getting opinions from elsewhere. But at this point, Articles 16 and 17 will be drawn as part of the random selection process. And the reason for that is that the town bylaws are very, very clear as to what articles can be drawn as part of the first section of the town meeting. And I just want to go through those because I know there's a lot of questions. I've received a lot of phone calls at home already. I just want to go through those, and I am getting recommendations because I want to make sure that we do this correctly. The worst thing that we can do is to get a vote of this significance and then vote it incorrectly at town meeting and have someone question it. So I want to make sure that whatever vote we take is done properly. So the guidelines behind not taking it in the random selection are as follows. First, it's for there's 6 specific areas that I can take up as part of not the random selection process that come up first in the town meeting. The first one is to conduct town elections, to announce the winners of this week's election. Second is to go through committee reports, which we will have one next week on unaccepted ways from Lynn Duncan, the planning director. Third is to pay unpaid bills of the previous year's fiscal year budget, which obviously this doesn't fit into. And then the salaries and expenses of the town, which is Article number 5, which is presented to the town meeting by the town manager and the finance committee, which is this upcoming year's salaries and expenses to run the town of Wilmington and the school department. The next is capital expenditures, which is police cars, fire department equipment, public works equipment, which is Articles number 6 through 12, if I'm not mistaken, on the warrant. And the last one is to borrow monies in anticipation of revenue, which is things such as Chapter 90 funds, which we know are coming. We just need to appropriate based on those monies coming. So at this point, the people that I have spoken to have been very strongly telling me that these two articles do not fall within the guidelines that would allow me to take it up within the main portion of the budget process. Similar in the examples that have been cited to me are bond issues for sewer projects, which we have always taken up through the random selection process. And as much as I would like to make this meeting as convenient as possible and tell everyone that at 1 o'clock on Saturday we're going to vote these articles, it's really my job as moderator to make sure that these votes are conducted in accordance with the bylaws of the town of Wilmington. And I want to make sure we do this right and we don't violate the bylaws which the voters have enacted into the town of Wilmington. So at this point, I just want to tell everyone that's the process that will take place. From a time frame standpoint, historically, the budget process takes somewhere in an hour, hour and a half time frame to about noontime. And then the random selection process would start from there. But again, I do have a meeting with town council this week, and we are getting recommendations and opinions from other people. So I don't anticipate that will change, but I am researching it as best I can.
So if you had to make a determination now, Jim, it would be that those two articles will be part of the random selection process after the completion of the salaries and expenses.
That's
of the town
correct.
meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. We
You're
hope
welcome.
to have you back when we have our official election results in. This is Election 97. This is coming to you live from Room 9 at the Town Hall in Wilmington. I'm Bob Peterson, your host for this evening. We do have all of the unofficial election results in. By my unofficial calculations, I have Bob Cain leading Jerry Duggen by approximately 45 votes. Suzanne Rooney with a slightly larger lead over Ken McCue in the contested school committee race. In question 1, barring a miracle on the absentee ballots, of which there are 273, appears to have been victorious after a very slow start in precincts 5 and 6. Our next guest this evening is the current chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Jim Rooney. Jim?
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you for joining us.
Nice to be here.
Your thoughts this evening? We'll start with question 1.
Question 1 squeaked out. As Jim Savage has said, his committee done an outstanding job. They did one heck of a job. These people went from, if you will, from to a big minus to a big plus, and it's going to be a big plus for the town. So they all deserve to be commended, and commended in a very loud applause. So I commend them.
Yeah.
Great
And
job.
At the first 2 precincts reported, 5 and 6, actually showed question 1 losing by 2 votes. The margin was tightened even further when the middle precincts come in, but it appears to have gotten a very strong affirmative vote in the Shawshene school area, an area which is very, very much affected by school overcrowding, and was very well represented in the question 1 committee.
Yeah, that was a good showing over there, and obviously all of those parents and all of the taxpayers do care about their kids. Yeah. And hopefully they'll be able to carry it through and get the 2/3 vote that they need at the town meeting.
Your comments on the selectmen's race, which also appears at this point to be very tight, with approximately a 45 vote differential between Bob Cain and Jerry Duggen.
Well, here we are in the world of politics, and nothing certainly is predictable. And to have anything this close for all of the candidates, I guess it says a lot. Some people steadfast in their ways, and it's difficult to change their minds and change things that are hopefully better for the town.
In the school committee race?
School committee race with my wife being in there, and I think doing an outstanding job. Young Kenny McCue made a surprising showing, and is a young man that, to my knowledge, never had a sign out anywhere. And as far as out politicking around and gathering up some votes, I don't know how much that young man did. But I know that I did for my wife, and I don't know what that says for, for my workings or not, but it's interesting. It's all interesting. And
If Mrs. Rooney gets elected, does that make you the first couple of Wilmington politics, or the first family of Wilmington politics?
well, I don't know. You may better ask her that question to see what happens.
Later on this evening, I might just do that. Jim, thank you for joining us, and we hope to talk to you later on.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. We do have the unofficial results, according to my producer, in all of the races. Our polls are closed. We have the unofficial results in some very tight races. Every race in this community this evening, on the contested side, it was extremely tight. Some a little less tight than others, but there were no runaways this evening, folks. And we'll start with question 1. With all of the precincts reported, we will project question 1 as being a successful question with 1,978 votes in the affirmative, or 51% of the votes cast, and 1,886 votes in the negative, which is 49% of the vote. In the Selectmen's race between 20-year incumbent Bob Cain and challenger Jerry Duggen, a virtual dead heat. Bob Cain with 1,579 votes. Jerry Duggen with 1,548 votes. Difference of about 31 votes. Mark Nelson, third at 885 votes, or 22%. So with 273 absentee ballots remaining to be counted, the Selectmen's race, folks, is just too tight to call. The school committee contested race, vote for 1. There were 2 candidates. Suzanne Rooney with 1,880 votes, or 52% of the vote, with a 4% lead over Ken McCue, who has 1,757 votes, or 48% of the vote. And quite frankly, folks, a relatively strong showing for Mr. McCue, who's a political newcomer here in Wilmington. School committee race, uncontested. Suzanne Clarkin, who's an incumbent school committee person, also very big in the question 1 movement, receives 2,380 votes. Obviously, she will be elected, as will Tom Siracusa, who garnered 1,795 votes, and our congratulations to those 2 candidates. Town moderator Jim Stewart, who has brought you tonight's election results. Unopposed, 3,005 votes. Next, we have an unopposed seat in the Housing Authority, Lillian Huppa, 2,671 votes. And I also believe we have an unopposed seat. A. Mark Zeinen, a political newcomer here in Wilmington, was unopposed for the Redevelopment Authority seat. He garnered 2,528 votes. In the last vote, Jim Gillis, unopposed, on the Shawshene Tech School Committee, he received 2,722 votes. So, folks, with 273 absentee ballots to be counted, the Selectmen's race remains too close to call. Question 1 appears to have been victorious, and we do have another guest with us. Our next guest this evening is a current member of the Board of Selectmen, incumbent Mike McCoy. Michael, thank you for joining us this evening. I'll ask you, as I've asked my other guests, your thoughts on, first of all, on question 1, which overcame a rocky start to have a victorious finish.
Well, I said it earlier before coming in this evening that I believe it was going to be a flip of the coin, and so far I predicted it well, and I talked to Mr. Savage prior to that, and it's just gone to the absentee ballot, and that's going to decide the fate of that election and also another election.
I think those folks who supported question 1 did an outstanding job. It's always hard to advocate an allocation of money when it has a direct impact on people's taxes. And as you know, there's a relatively substantial voting bloc in this community who are elderly and who take any vote that would affect their taxes as an affront to them. And rightfully so. And I think that the question 1 people did a very nice job presenting their question, putting it out in the public, and it appears to have paid off.
You can understand both sides. I mean, they did a tremendous job. You know, and on the other side is, of course, you have senior citizens and people on a fixed income. You know, they don't have the additional funds, and you can respect that. You know, so it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a flip of the coin, and you know, it's definitely needed in the community, the space. But I respect people who, you know, either young or old, that financially is, you know, on a fixed income, and it's difficult for them, and I can sympathize with them.
Yeah. The Selectmen's race, a very, very surprisingly very clean race with about a 31 vote differential. With 273 absentee ballots to be cast between Bob Cain and Jerry Duggen. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it was a very positive campaign with all the candidates. It was very positive, nothing negative, and I think that's what people want in this community. The community is a positive people, positive elections, and so far, once again, it's going right to the absentee ballot, and people are going to be biting on their nails to see the outcome of both camps, the Cain camp and the Duggen camp. So just a matter of time before we know who's going to win. The question, first question of the Selectmen's race.
Yeah. I guess it certainly would give people something to think about the next time they tell you that their vote doesn't count. Because all of our races here this evening, I think every vote that was cast counts.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say on a note, I supported Bob Cain, and he's been an incumbent for 19 years. He's done a good job, and Bob's in the audience, and you know, no one has anything to be ashamed of what they did this evening. And I just wish Selectman Cain, you know, good luck, and we'll tell in a few minutes.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay,
Thank you for
Bobby,
joining
thank
us.
you. Thanks.
Hope to talk to you later on this evening. That was incumbent Selectman Michael McCoy here at the Town Hall. We're coming to you live from room 9 at the Town Hall. I'm Bob Peterson, and I'm your host for this evening. It's about 20 after 9. Our unofficial election results are in and have been posted. The Selectmen's race between Jerry Duggen and 20-year incumbent Bob Cain, with 273 absentee ballots to be counted, appears to have Mr. Cain with approximately 31 vote lead. That race is too close to call. Question 1, the debt exclusion appears to have passed after a very rocky start in precincts 5 and 6. Our next guest this evening is incumbent school committeeman and question 1 proponent extraordinaire, Judson Miller.
Thank you, Bob.
Judson, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
You put a few miles on your car this afternoon, I noticed.
Oh, many.
Your thoughts on question 1. It appeared that question could have gone either way very easily after precincts 5 and 6 reported, but your group seemed to have rebounded in the middle precincts and put yourselves over the top in 1 and 2. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, we have, and I think the voters realize that it's long overdue in town, and it's something that we desperately need. And I'm glad at the turnout that we had today, and at the results, pending an overwhelming no's in the absentee ballots.
Did your group do any extra work? And I believe it would be precinct 1, which is the Shawsheen School 1 and 2, which would make up a substantial portion of your school population at the Shawsheen. You appear to have carried those precincts relatively strongly after a struggle in 5 and 6 and a virtual dead heat in 3 and 4.
I think the high support in precincts 1 and 2 could be attributed to the fact that those are the students that attend the Boutwell and the Shawsheen School, which is the biggest affected area in town. The Wildwood and the Woburn Street are hurting as well, but you know, we have a real bad problem at the Shawsheen School.
Did your group do any extra work in those areas, or do you think your message was just better received in those areas because of its immediate effect on the school population and then the exploding school population at the Shawsheen?
I think we put a little extra work into that area. Certainly, quite a few volunteers came out, and if it wasn't for the volunteers, we wouldn't have been able to pull this off. And and I think the fact that they were in those areas, the parents were in those areas, that helped out too.
As I said to Suzanne and to Jim, I think you've got a lot to be proud of, and we extend our congratulations to you, and hope to talk to you later on this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judson. That was Judson Miller, incumbent school committeeman here in Wilmington, speaking on the apparently victorious question 1, which will appear next week on your town meeting warrant articles as 16 and 17. Although they appeared together today on your ballot, they will appear separately next week. We do have the results if you're watching us from home. Again, our results are unofficial, and they do not include the 273 absentee ballots, which are currently being tallied by the town clerk. Question 1, which is the debt exclusion for the construction of a public safety building in a new intermediate school here in Wilmington, appears to have passed. 1,978 votes in the affirmative, 1,886 votes in the negative. That question passed by a relatively small 2%. On the Selectmen's race, we have a 20-year incumbent, Bob Cain, reporting in with all of the precincts with the exception of the absentee ballots having been counted with 1,579 votes, 39% of the vote, in a virtual dead heat with challenger Jerry Duggen, who's coming in at 1,548 votes. So, folks, we have a 31-vote differential in that race with 273 absentee ballots to be counted. School committee, the contested seat, unofficial results, Suzanne Rooney, 1,880 votes, 52%. Political newcomer Ken McCue, who did virtually no campaigning, 1,757 votes, or 48% of the vote. So we would project, without the absentee ballots, Suzanne Rooney as the winner in that race. The school committee, 2 open seats, 2 candidates. Suzanne Clarkin topped that ticket with 2,380 votes, followed by Tom Syracuse with 1,795 votes. Both of those individuals will become newly elected members of the Wilmington School Committee. In Suzanne's case, she was appointed and was elected for the first time, and our congratulations to both of those candidates. Town Moderator Jim Stewart, who's with us here this evening as our tally man, garnered 3,005 votes in his unopposed bid for re-election as our Town Moderator. Housing Authority Lillian Hupper was unopposed, 1 opening, 1 candidate, 2,671 votes. Redevelopment Authority, Mark Zeinen, 2,528 votes. Mr. Zeinen, who's a political newcomer here in Wilmington, has been elected. And our last candidate is Jim Gillis, Shawshene Regional Vocational School Committee, 2,722 votes. Mr. Gillis was also unopposed and has been elected, and our congratulations to him. Now approaching 9:30. We're still waiting for the official tally from the town clerk as they add up the absentee ballots that were counted. There was a 31-vote differential between incumbent Bob Cain and challenger Jerry Duggen in the Selectmen's race. We're waiting for the town clerk to tally the 273 absentee ballots which were cast prior to today. Oh, they're tabulating votes in the auditorium, my producer tells me, and although I didn't understand his message, we're going to go to that camera. Please stay with us. Good evening and welcome back to WCTV. This is Election 97. We're coming to you live from Room 9 at the Wilmington Town Hall. We're waiting for the final tabulations on 273 absentee ballots which were cast prior to today. Those ballots at this point are very important because there's only a 31 vote differential between incumbent Selectman Bob Cain and challenger Jerry Duggen. It appears at this point is that race is too close to call. It appears that Suzanne Rooney has won the contested school committee race in the question 1, which would authorize a debt exclusion for the construction of an intermediate school and public safety building, has passed. Please stay with us as we interview more guests and wait for the official tabulations from the town clerk and the official count from the absentee ballots which were cast prior to today. Our next guest this evening, as we come to you live from the town hall, is Mark Zeinen, who is an unopposed and obviously elected candidate to the Wilmington Housing Authority. Mark is a relative newcomer to Wilmington and is certainly a newcomer to Wilmington politics, and we welcome him here with us this evening. Mark, nice to have you with us.
I remember you. You did my house closing.
How'd I do?
You did all right.
Thank you. Your thoughts on the election and the process itself?
Well, I guess from my perspective, being unopposed, it didn't really give me a good feel for how the actual local politics is. We didn't have to go out there and do signs or anything like that, but I'm very excited to be involved, and I'm going to stay involved for the foreseeable future.
With the closeness of the contested races this evening, you probably were better off, at least this year, being in an uncontested race.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. And it's very exciting, actually. I mean, just to sit here and listen to the vote counts and the question and all that, I find it very exciting.
As I told the folks before you came on the air, you're a relatively new resident and voter in Wilmington. Could you tell us why you decided to run for elective office, why the redevelopment authority, and what your plans are during your term?
Okay, first of all, my wife is from Wilmington, and she grew up here, and she has her family's here. I have my father-in-law is here, my mother-in-law. So I have been visiting the town for the past 5 years, so I'm a bit more familiar with it than just being a relative newcomer. I feel very much at home here in Wilmington, and like I said, we plan on being here for probably the remainder of our days. Politics, I've always been interested in it. I can't help it. I want to be involved. I feel that if you're going to live in a community, you have to be involved, and I'm always disappointed when I see so many people who don't show any interest in town government, local government, the elections, or anything like that, because that's what makes a community. I mean, you just can't be sitting in your house, by yourself watching TV. I feel you have to be involved. So,
why the redevelopment authority?
Well, it was one of the 2 last uncontested seats.
I was going to say, other than the fact that the
seat
was uncontested.
Okay. It was the Housing Authority and the Redevelopment Authority, and so I gave it a shot. And I know some of the issues. I know Dennis Volpe. I've worked with Dennis at Hanscom Air Force Base, and we spoke a couple of times, and I'm interested in some of the things they're working on, the Route 38, Route 62, and the whole growth and traffic and all the rest of those impacts. I want to have my say, and I want to be involved.
Well, we're glad you feel at home here in Wilmington,
Thank you.
And we wish you much success in the future, and we thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Bye.
That was Mark Zeinen, folks. He's was the unopposed candidate for the vacant seat on the Wilmington Housing Authority. He obviously will be elected, and our congratulations to him, and we hope he enjoys a long and healthy career in politics here in Wilmington. We do have, once again, our unofficial results are in. All of the precincts having reported unofficially, with the exception of the 273 absentee ballots. Question 1 unofficially has prevailed, and I would caution you folks watching at home that these results which you see on your screen do not include the 273 absentee ballots that were counted. However, it will be very difficult for question 1 to be overturned on the absentee ballots alone. The Selectmen's race, however, is much closer. 20-year incumbent Bob Cain is currently holding a 31 vote lead over Jerry Duggen. Mr. Cain has 1,579 votes, 39% of the vote. Jerry Duggen also has 39% of the vote, 1,548. That, folks, is virtually a dead heat. The third candidate, Mark Nelson, has approximately 885 votes. School committee unofficial results. In the contested race, we would project Suzanne Rooney as the winner with 1,880 votes, 52%. Political newcomer Ken McCue is second with 1,757 votes, or 48% of the popular vote. Once again, a very close race. School committee, 2 open seats, 2 candidates. Suzanne Clarkin, very active in the Question 1 movement, received 2,380 votes. And Tom Siracusa also has been elected. He received 1,795 votes, and congratulations to those 2 individuals on their election. Town moderator Jim Stewart, who's with us here this evening, was re-elected. He was unopposed in a bid for town moderator. He received 3,005 votes. Housing Authority, once again unopposed. Lillian Hupper received 2,671 votes. Redevelopment Authority, our last guest, Mark Zeinen, a newcomer to Wilmington politics, received 2,528 votes. He has been elected to the Redevelopment Authority, and we offer our congratulations to him. And our last candidate, who is also unopposed, Jim Gillis, Shawshene Tech School Committee, he received 2,722 votes cast, and once again, he was unopposed. I'd like to take this opportunity to inform all the people who are going to next week's town meeting that there will be free babysitting available. It's sponsored by the National Honor Society. Babysitting will be available from 10:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. in room 102 at the high school. And that babysitting is free for those individuals who are attending the town meeting. And we will hope all of the people who voted today and all of the registered voters in Wilmington will take some time out of their busy schedule next Saturday to attend the town meeting. There are a lot of important issues on the agenda next Saturday, not the least of which is the questions which are directly related to Question 1, which appeared on today's ballot. And once again, for those of you watching at home, the 2 items which were part of Question 1 today, the intermediate school and the public safety building, will appear as separate articles on the warrant for next week's town meeting. They're articles number 16 and 17, and a vote will be taken up separately on each of them. In passage on each of those articles will require a 2/3 majority. So if you're going down and you have children, please don't hesitate to bring them. There's free babysitting available from 10:30 to 4:30, room 102, and it's provided by the National Honor Society, and we'd like to thank them. We have another guest here with us this evening, and we'd like to turn our attention to current Selectman and local attorney Mike Newhouse. Mike, thank you for joining us here this evening.
Hi, Bob.
How you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Very well, thanks.
Your thoughts on, I've asked all my guests this evening, your thoughts to start off with on Question 1.
Well, apparently it's been a successful vote. It's been a yes vote. Obviously, we need to wait for the official results to come in, but I'm excited about it myself. I expect that it'll be hotly debated at town meeting. But I think the benefit to the vote at town meeting will be that some of the misinformation that still might be out there can be dispelled in that forum.
And obviously, Mike, the most hotly contested race this evening, there's a 31 vote differential between your colleague, Bob Cain, and his challenger, Jerry Duggen, with 273 votes yet to be counted. And your thoughts on what was, by all accounts, a very clean race between those 2 gentlemen?
I think it was a clean race, and I think that both of the candidates deserve some congratulations on that. And I'm glad that I'm on the outside looking in on this one, because it's certainly a nail-biter.
Well, as Mr. Zeinen said earlier, that's one of the advantages of running unopposed. If you vote for yourself and you have nobody out there with a ton of stickers, then you're in. Right. Mike, we thank you for joining us, and we hope to check in with you later on this evening.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Michael. Once again, this is Election 97. It's coming up on 9:15, and we're coming to you live from Room 9 at the Town Hall in Wilmington. Our unofficial results are in. We would project Question 1, which would support a debt exclusion for the construction of an intermediate school and public safety building here in Wilmington, has been victorious. The Selectmen's race between Bob Cain and Jerry Duggen, there is a 31 vote differential between those 2 gentlemen, with 273 absentee ballots to be counted, so that race is going to come down to absentee ballots. The only other contested race we have for you this evening is the school committee race. We had 2 candidates, Suzanne Rooney and Ken McCue, for 1 open school committee seat. We would project Mrs. Rooney to be the winner in that race, in a relatively close race, but by no means as close as the Selectmen's race between Mr. Cain and Mr. Duggen. The 3rd candidate in that race, Mark Nelson, making his 2nd run at elective office here in Wilmington, is behind Mr. Cain and Mr. Duggen. Our next guest this evening is Mr. Michael Kyra, Wilmington's town manager. And Mike, we thank you for joining us.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, very good.
Your thoughts on question one, which, if you were here or watching, overcame a relatively rocky beginning in precincts 5 and 6.
Yeah, I was watching, like I think a lot of people in Wilmington were watching. Congratulations to you and WCTV for a good job.
Thank you.
And I'm delighted. I can't be any happier because I think it speaks volumes for the people of Wilmington. I think that the group headed by Jim Savage and all the people who work so hard deserve tremendous credit for what they've done. I think also the fact that the town boards, the officials in the town got together, and I think that was something that we heard about early on when people were saying the way this has to pass is if we come together. And I think the very symbolism of the two issues being joined together, being united, was helpful. The fact that you had the school committee, the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee unanimously endorsing this project, and the good work of the Permanent Building Committee, I think speaks volumes for the people of the town. And it's not over, and the people know that. The work is ahead of us, and once it is successful at the town meeting, and I believe it will be, then we've got an awful lot of work to do to make sure we meet the timelines. So it's exciting.
Your thoughts on the vote next week, which, as I explained to the folks earlier, will not be in the same format as today's question. It will appear as two separate articles.
That's right. It needs to be, the municipal finance law is pretty specific, and we need to appropriate separately because these are two distinct issues. And so the voters are going to be asked to appropriate money for the police and fire station and for the school. And I think they're of equal importance. I trust that the voters are going to go with an open mind. We have made it a practice of being of full disclosure throughout this whole process. So you know, what you see is what you get. I know there was a lot of talk about what the actual dollar amount is going to be. It's what we said it is going to be. And I think people understand that, and people are prepared to vote for it. It's a reasonable alternative to provide the kinds of programs that all of our kids deserve and that the town as a whole deserves.
Yeah. A few quick thoughts on the budget next week for those who are watching at home.
It's a deliberately conservative budget. I think that the townspeople have been very cooperative in our efforts over the past several years to keep the budget conservative and to make sure that we would be in a financial position to be able to pass an override. I just want to tell folks that back in 1989, we had a $23 million long-term debt situation. That means we owed $23 million. If you had a mortgage on a house, it was $23 million that you owed on that house. Right now, we only owe $2 million in fixed debt, and that debt will be over by the year 2000. So it was important that we got into a financial position to go forward. The other point I would make is the budget is really, it is balanced right now, and it is really dependent on people being controlled at that town meeting. We can ill afford to go into any kind of a feeding frenzy. In 1992, we had about a $1.5 million negative free cash position, which means we were in debt by $1.5 million. It meant that we were spending more than we were taking in, and as a result of that, we had to do short-term borrowing. We no longer do that. We now are in a position where we have about $1.1 million in positive free cash, and that's the money that we're going to count on as we go forward over the next several years. And that's also the money that's going to help us stabilize the tax rate. I mean, even though we are going to be increasing the taxes specifically for these two projects, we're still going to be able to keep an overall positive position for the taxpayers in the town.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael, and
thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to our election results, our unofficial results, and we have them up again. Question 1 appears to have been victorious. We had 1,978 voters voting in the affirmative for question 1, or 51% of the votes cast. Those voting in the negative were 1,886 votes, or 49% of the votes cast. Question 1, barring a miracle on the absentee ballots, appears to have been victorious. Selectmen's race, too close to call. There's a 32 vote difference, 31 vote difference between Mr. Cain and Mr. Duggen. Their percentages are virtually identical. Mr. Cain has 1,579 votes. Mr. Duggen has 1,548 votes. Mark Nelson, the third candidate, has 885 votes, or 22% of the vote. And folks, without any exaggeration, that race is going to come down to the absentee ballots. School committee race, one opening, two candidates. We would project that Suzanne Rooney is the winner with 1,880 votes, or 52% of the vote. Ken McCue finished second with 1,757 votes, or 48% of the vote. Next race, we have school committee. We had two openings, two candidates. Suzanne Clarkin, as I said earlier, a very, very large proponent of question 1. Topped that ticket with 2,380 votes. Tom Siracusa, 1,795 votes. And those two people have been elected, and we offer our congratulations to them. Town moderator Jim Stewart, who's with us here this evening, received 3,005 votes. He was unopposed and will be reelected, and our congratulations to him, as well as all of the remaining candidates who were unopposed. Lillian Hupper, Housing Authority, 2,671 votes. Mark Zeinen, who was a guest with us earlier this evening, 2,528 votes in his first run for elective office. And incumbent school committeeman over at Shawshene Tech, Jim Gillis, received 2,722 votes. Congratulations to all the candidates who appear to have been victorious. If you're with us at home, we're coming to you live from Room 9 at the Town Hall. My name is Bob Peterson, and I'll be with you until we tabulate our official results. Yeah. We have with us this evening Jim Stewart, who was recently reelected as our town moderator. Congratulations, Jim. And he'll have the duty of presiding over our town meeting next Saturday, which is going to prove to be very interesting and, more importantly, very important. Jim, welcome back.
Thanks, Bob. Kay Scanlon is about done with the official tabulation. She should be here momentarily within certainly the next 5 minutes, so stay with us. She will be announcing the official results of the 1997 Wilmington town election. Just a couple of reminders. Town meeting next week starts at 10:30. I'd encourage everyone to be there at 10:30 if you could. We do need a 150-person quorum to get the meeting started. Once the meeting is started, we no longer need a quorum, but I would like to get started on time if at all possible and move the process along as quickly as possible. We've talked a great deal about Articles 16 and 17 that are going to be on the warrant next week, but there's 42 other warrant articles as well, and some of great interest to the town of Wilmington. Articles such as the regular budget process which will take place, which is approximately a $40 million budget this year between the schools and the town side of the budget, as well as a Lowell Street sewer project, which will also require bonding and a 2/3 vote, which is Article 18. There is a Lowell Regional Transit Authority article on the warrant to bring bus service from Lowell into Wilmington, which I'm sure will be an article that receives much debate and discussion, as it has during the Selectmen's meetings that it has been before, as well as a zoning article to control the construction and limit the construction of wireless telephone towers, the towers that you see to control cellular telephones. It is an article to limit the construction of those in certain areas and leave buffer zones between the residential areas of the town of Wilmington and those towers. So today obviously was a keen focus on question 1. Next week those two articles will, I'm sure, take main stage at the town meeting as well, but there are other articles as well, and I'd encourage everyone to participate in the process.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome, Bob.
We look forward to hearing from you later on. I'd like to take this opportunity also to thank, I think as Mike Kyra indicated earlier, the relatively successful vote, or the seemingly successful vote on question 1. We've attributed a lot of success to the committee that promulgated the success of question 1. But I think question 1's success was also predicated on the ability of all the town boards to get together and be united behind question 1. And I think credit has to go to the town manager, who is the chief financial officer of this community, the Board of Selectmen, and the Finance Committee for having the courage to take the stand to support question 1, even when it didn't appear to be the most popular move in the world. I think when the high school was renovated, those of you who were here then and may have participated in that process will remember that the first effort to renovate the high school was unsuccessful because the people behind it were not unified. And I think it takes a unified group to pass an article as as meaningful and as costly as this, and I think credit should be given to all those who participated, not only the committee that supported question 1, but all of you elected officials, and we offer our congratulations to all of you. Once again, we're coming to you live from room 9 at the town hall. It's 10 minutes to 10, and we're going to leave you for a moment to go silent to the vote tabulation that's going on about 50 feet from us in the town hall auditorium, and we hope you'll stay with us, because when we return, we hope to have the final official election results for the town of Wilmington for 1997. Please stay with us. Good evening, and thank you for staying with us. This is Election 97, coming to you live from Room 9 at the Wilmington Town Hall. My name is Bob Peterson, and I'm your host for the evening. What you were just watching, folks, was the tabulation of the final official election results for 1997 municipal elections here in Wilmington. We're simply awaiting the official tabulations from the town clerk. We do have unofficial results in, which have not taken into consideration the 273 absentee ballots that were counted and may very well determine the results of this election. With the unofficial results in, we show question 1, apparently victorious with 1,978 votes in the affirmative, 1,886 votes in the negative. So barring a small miracle, question 1 will prevail and will be decided at next week's town meeting. Selectmen's vote, quite frankly, too close to call. There's a 31 vote differential between 20-year incumbent Bob Cain, who has 1,579 votes, and challenger Jerry Duggen, who has 1,548 votes. A virtual dead heat between those two gentlemen, which will be decided by absentee ballots. And I've just been informed that we are ready for the official results. We're waiting for the town clerk to come in, and I will turn the microphone over, if I would, to Jim Stewart. Jim, welcome back.
Thank you, Bob. As you mentioned, we are awaiting Kay Scanlon's arrival. She has completed the tabulations, and she should be joining us in just a moment or so for the official results of the 1997 Wilmington town elections. Just a reminder, again, next week, 10:30 is a town meeting at the Wilmington High School auditorium, and would encourage everyone to participate. I've been informed that there is free babysitting available from 10:30 until, I believe, 4:30 in the afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong there.
10:30 to 4:30 in room 102.
In room 102. And it's now my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you the town clerk of the town of Wilmington, Kay Scanlon, to give us the 1997 town election official results.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. As is required by law, pronouncement of the vote is as follows. The town of Wilmington now has 12,983 registered voters. The total vote today was 4,367, reflecting a 34% vote. Selectmen for the term of 3 years. Robert J. Cain, 1698. Gerald R. Duggen, 1696. Mark Nelson, 875. School committee for the term of 3 years, vote for 2. Suzanne Clarkton, 2567. Thomas W. Syracusa, 1945. School committee for the term of 1 year to fill a vacancy, Kenneth M. McCue, 1872. Suzanne Spyrus Rooney, 2032. Moderator for the term of 3 years, James C. Stewart, 3222. Housing Authority for the term of 3 years, vote for 1, Lillian Hupper, 2869. Redevelopment Authority, 1 for the term of 5 years, A. Mark Zeinen, 2711. Shawshene Regional Vocational School District Committee, 1 for the term of 3 years, 2918. Question number 1, yes vote 2123, no vote 2008. Do the swearing in.
The no vote was 2008.
What was the yes vote?
2123.
If I could at this time, if I could ask the candidates who have just been elected to office to join Kay Scanlon up here for the official swearing-in ceremony.
Jim, Tom? Jimmy, Tom? Mark? Bobby Cain?
That I will faithfully and impartially and to the best of my ability perform the duties of the office to which I have been elected. In accordance with the bylaws of the town of Wilmington. The terms of the town charter. And the general laws of the Commonwealth of Mass. So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've been around. See, it's all your fault. It's all your fault.
Good for you, yeah. Okay, see you later.
You ready to put them up, Chris? Do you have them? We're back live? Chris? You live? Thank you for staying with us. We're back live from Room 9 at the Town Hall in Wilmington. We have our final official election results for you this evening. Question 1, which will authorize the debt exclusion for the construction of a public safety building and intermediate school, passed 2,123 votes in the affirmative, 2,008 votes in the negative. That will appear on next Saturday's annual warrant article as 2 separate articles. The Selectmen's race, a very, very, very close race, which indeed did come down to the absentee ballots. Bob Cain receiving 1,698 votes, Jerry Duggen receiving 1,696 votes. And folks, that's not a misprint. There's a 2-vote differential between those 2 candidates. Contested race on the school committee. 2 candidates, 1 opening. Suzanne Rooney, we project, has officially been named the winner. 2,032 votes in a very close race over political newcomer Ken McCue, who had 1,872 votes. The rest of our races, folks, were uncontested. School committee race, we had 2 elected candidates. Suzanne Clarkin, 2,567 votes. Tom Siracusa, 1,945 votes. Town moderator Jim Stewart received 3,222 votes, and all of these candidates, folks, are unopposed. Housing Authority Lillian Hupper, 2,869 votes. Redevelopment Authority Mark Zinan, 2,711 votes. And our last candidate is Jim Gillis, Shawshene Tech School Committee, 2,918 votes. Let me speak to my producer. We either have more guests or we're going to wrap it up from here. We're going to wrap it up. That's our Election 97 results. Once again, my thanks to Chris Cassidy and his staff at WCTV for all their preparation and hard work, which made tonight's presentation very interesting and very down to the last minute election. Once again, the final results, 20-year incumbent Bob Cain defeated Jerry Duggen by 2 votes. And we thank you for staying with us, and we'll see you next year. Good evening.